Welcome to this CodeLab. In this CodeLab, we're going to create a CodeLab store, and we're going to call it CodeLab's Pro Store. So we're going to use different frameworks to build this CodeLab or to build the store. And we'll start with SvelteKit to be precise. So the website for SvelteKit is git.svelte.dev, and in this first step we obviously need our prerequisites. So let's take a look here at what we need. We have Node version 16, we have npm version 8.19.2, and we have our readme file here. So let's take a look at the readme steps. So in here we have the steps to create a SvelteKit app. We can go to the website for Svelte and look at the Get Started section. So creating a project, and we'll copy this command to create the SvelteKit version of this, but because we're going to use different frameworks to create the CodeLab store, we're going to create a folder for the SvelteKit version. So now that we have that folder, we can start. So let's run npm create svelte at latest CodeLab's Pro Store. So it asks us for the options. We can select skeleton project. It says add type checking, and we can say no. Add ESLint we can check yes. Add prettier we can check yes. Add playwright we can check yes. So now we should have our project, so we could cd to the folder and open it in VS Code. Once we have our VS Code project open, we can look at the file structure. So we have our app.html, which is on the top, and we have our routes folder. So the way routing works in Svelte is you need a folder for each route. In your top level routes folder, so we plan to have 4 major routes. We need the folder for our about route, we need our folder for the news route, and we need a folder for the store route. We can also have a folder, and we don't need the folder for the top level route. So let's take a look at what we have when we run this. So when we run, we need to cd to the CodeLab's Pro Store folder and run npm install. And in the next step, we're going to run npm run dev. So this should give us the default in our browser on port number 5173. So port number 5173, that's our default. Now we need to follow the steps in our readme file to add Tailwind and Daisy UI. So let's do that now. So the steps for Daisy UI are down here. Before we do that, we should also install .env for our config files. So let's go ahead and do that now. Open new terminal and run npm install .env. This then adds the .env to the package.json. So if we do get status, we should have a package.json with the .env installed right here in the dependencies. So let's do a quick commit of what we have so far. So the next step is to look at Tailwind. So we have the steps down here, and the steps are also described in this github.com/svelte add section. So where it says add Tailwind to Svelte. So we have npx svelte add at latest Tailwind CSS, which is what it says here. So we could copy this command and add Tailwind to our project. So Tailwind is now installed. Now let's take a look at the steps for Daisy UI. So in the Daisy UI website, it should tell us the steps for Daisy UI. And we have the steps here, which is just the npm install Daisy UI, but we're going to run this command with the -d to save it as a dev dependency. And if we look under dev dependency, we can see that Daisy UI is right here. So let's commit that. So now that's done, we can take a look at whether the npm run dev would give us the UI for our project with the new Tailwind styles. So if we check this out, we can see that it has the new styles. So the next step is to fix the layout of the home page, and the way that Svelte works, or SvelteKit and Svelte works, is that for every page on the top level we have a layout file, or every page has a corresponding layout file. So for instance, this layout file is the layout for our page layout. So in order to actually have Tailwind configured, we first need to add a few lines to our Tailwind config. So let's do that now. We can go to the plugin section and we could add require Daisy UI in there, and we can also add some of the Daisy UI configuration. The Daisy UI configuration can be found on the Daisy UI website. So if we go to daisyui.com, we could go to config and look at this config here. So we could use the dark theme by default, but we can also install some additional themes. So as an example, if we go to the Daisy UI section here and add multiple themes, we can have the corresponding theme show up here. So for instance, let's select a different theme as our default, and in order to do that we have to take the theme name. For instance, if we want night as our theme, we can go to app.html and set the theme to night in our app.html, and that just switches the theme in our project to night. So the next step is to have our navigation working. So we need the navigation in our layout file, and the way to do that is to first import, or first have a main section here, and inside the main section we could have a nav section, and inside the nav section we can add our various navigation components, and we'll use some CSS styles to style them. So in this case we're going to use the styles that are mentioned here. So if we take a look at this, we have our divs with the navigation here. So we have the about, news, and store sections, and we have our slot below that. So the slot is essentially where the rest of the content goes, and we can also have a style section down here. We don't need any custom styles for the home layout for now, but if we look at the layout, we should be able to see that we have home, about, news, and store. And in our page dot svelte, we can have just a simple section with our tailwind styles. So we go to this one and we could say something like CodeLabs Pro Store, close out the div, close out this div, and make sure the indent is kind of working, close out that div, close out that div, and in the home page we should have, okay, that div, that's the second div, that's the third div, and there should be another one down here. We can format that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 divs, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got an extra one. So that takes care of the top level divs. And let's take a look. Refresh. Yeah. So whenever it shows an internal error here, we need to check the HMR, which is the hot module reload, where it says HMR update. So something went wrong with the HMR. So let's rerun that and refresh. It's still saying error. So let's take a look again. We have div 1. Let's close div 2. Let's indent that, indent that, indent. So looks like all the divs are closed, and there's a mention of a div that isn't closed here. So let's rerun this. Okay, so let me try to fix it in a different way. I'm going to copy the steps for the home screen and just call it CodeLabs Pro Store. And let's take a look now. Yeah, just as a side, CodeLabs Pro uses the CodeKit bundle that's in the list of repos for CodeLabs Pro. So let's take a quick look here. So that's our home. So that's going to be our first home screen. And in the next part, we'll do the remaining screens. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.